Legal battle. Abortions resume in Texas while pro-life groups appeal. White House agenda. President Joe Biden's stand on abortion creates more criticism. Capitol Hill conflict. Lawmakers avoid a debt crisis, but not without infighting. And coronavirus crisis. Ambassador Sam Brownback shares concerns about the global response. On EWTN News Nightly for Friday, October 8th, 2021. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'm Tracy Sable. Abortions in Texas resume after a federal judge's ruling to block enforcement of the state's heartbeat law. Pro-life prayer vigils are active as several abortion sites reopen for business. The judge, an appointee of former President Barack Obama, sided with the Biden administration against the ban on abortion once a child's heartbeat is detected. State officials say they will appeal the temporary injunction. In addition to attacking the Texas heartbeat law, the White House is now promoting abortion nationwide at Title X clinics. Under former President Donald Trump, those clinics, funded by tax dollars, could not refer pregnant women for abortions. But now, under the Biden administration, those abortion referrals are encouraged. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports. Owen?
Tracy, good evening to you. Despite what the White House has been doing, the chairman of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops Committee on Pro-Life Activities stresses abortion is not family planning.
As the Biden administration expands abortion access on multiple fronts, Archbishop Joseph Naumann reacts to the reversal of President Donald Trump's Protect Life rule.
So it's really sad. This administration seems to, it's in the control of abortion extremists.
Archbishop Naumann says Title X was never supposed to be involved in the taking of the innocent unborn.
And so they're looking for every opportunity to expand abortion. And this is just one more casualty along that train.
Archbishop Naumann says the government is encouraging women to get abortions, which has failed the culture and failed women. But since the very start of his administration, President Joseph Biden, the nation's second ever Catholic president, has made it clear where he stands.
He likes to call himself a devout Catholic. I would urge him to begin to act like one, especially on the life issues, and to let his faith really inform his conscience and the decisions that he's making, not the platform of his party.
Meanwhile, another jobs report comes out weaker than expected. Employers, according to the Labor Department, added just 194,000 jobs last month.
The monthly totals bounce around, but if you take a look at the trend, it's solid. On average, 600,000 new jobs created every month since I took office.
Now, President Biden also faces continuous criticism from his predecessor on everything from the economy to Afghanistan. In fact, tomorrow, former President Donald Trump is headlining a Save America rally in Des Moines, Iowa. At the White House, Owen Jensen, EWTN News Nightly.
On a late-night vote, the U.S. Senate raised the debt ceiling by $480 billion with the help of 11 Republicans. The move allows the government to pay its bills on time until early December. But it was a speech by Democratic Majority Leader Chuck Schumer that is causing a firestorm. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales explains.
The controversial speech came just before the final vote to raise the debt ceiling. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer chastised Republicans for almost causing an economic crisis, even those Republicans who agreed to help the bill pass.
On Monday morning, I said we needed to pass a bill to address the debt limit by the end of the week, and that is exactly what we did. Republicans played a dangerous and risky partisan game.
Take a look at Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, seated directly behind the majority leader. He grows more and more agitated as the speech goes on. Moments later, Senator Manchin glances over to his colleagues on the Republican side of the Senate and shakes his head. But that was not his only reaction. The West Virginia senator then puts his hands over his face. Meanwhile, the majority leader continues.
Yesterday, Senate Republicans finally realized that their obstruction was not going to work.
Senator Manchin then leaves and walks away. During the vote just after the speech, Senator Manchin takes a beeline and confronts the majority leader. You can see the two having some words. Minutes later, Republican Minority Whip John Thune of South Dakota walked over to Senator Schumer. Sources familiar with the exchange tell me Senator Thune said, well, it would have been the right time to show some grace. His message to Republicans was, quote, totally out of line and tone deaf, and that he should be, quote, embarrassed of himself, and the only thing he accomplished was, quote, throwing gasoline on the fire. Sources say Senator Schumer's remarks were so badly received that several Democrats apologized to Senator Thune and other Republicans. Leaving the Capitol, Senator Manchin spoke with CNN's Manu Raju, who tweeted this.
I'm sure Chuck's frustration was built, but that was not a way to take it out. We just disagree. I'd done it differently.
The big question, will Senator Schumer's speech hurt Democrats come December, when the government runs out of money and the debt ceiling needs to be addressed again? At the Capitol, Eric Rosales, EWTN News Nightly.
Missouri's 4 Catholic bishops urge state leaders to stop the death penalty. They say executions do not create public safety. Rather, they instead degrade society by reinforcing a cycle of violence. On Tuesday, the state of Missouri performed its first execution in 16 months. Moderna is planning to build a factory in Africa and use it to produce coronavirus vaccines. The continent is suffering from a serious COVID vaccine shortage. Only 3% of Africans are vaccinated. Africa is reeling from the effects of the deadly Delta variant, with many reports of hospitals forced to turn away patients because there aren't enough beds. And joining us now is Sam Brownback, former U.S. Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom. He is working to bring coronavirus relief to underprivileged countries. Ambassador Brownback, great to have you on.
Hey, it's a pleasure to join you. Always good to be on EWTN.
We're grateful to have you. So talk to us about what prompted you to work with underprivileged countries, in particular Africa, when it comes to COVID-19.
Yeah, I'd done it before. The PEPFAR program was one that came in under President Bush, and where we really brought AIDS relief to Africa, saved over 18 million lives, and it really improved the U.S. foreign policy position in Africa, because it's a strange thing, but people, when you save their life, they're grateful. And the African people were. And so we were looking at saying, what can we do humanitarian-wise during this crisis that we're in? And the thing that I really was drawn to was the special drawing rights that the IMF could use to get funds into these poor African countries in particular to help them with hospital beds, vaccinations during this horrific downturn in their economy due to COVID.
Yeah, we talked a little bit before our conversation right now about the situation in Africa, but if you don't mind, can you let our viewers know a little bit more about what's happening there right now when it comes to COVID-19?
It's terrible. I mean, it's terrible everywhere. COVID is awful. Africa is a younger continent than most other places, and so that's in its favor. But it's still, the Delta variant is wiping out places, and they just don't have enough hospital beds or hospital equipment or oxygen in many of these places. So when we're looking at this special drawing rights, is that can also help be used for hospital equipment, which is what they desperately need right now. And then they just need to get their economy back up too, because people starve when they don't have enough money or income coming in to feed their family.
Yeah, and I know that you recently wrote an article that African countries may turn to China in this instance. Can you talk to us more about that, and why China, and what type of impact could China have on Africa?
Well, China is really making a play for Africa. They are putting lots of resources in it. They don't ask any questions about human rights issues or religious freedom or anything like that. They just want the resources, and they want to control it with their money. And what I'm seeing here is, in this situation, is they might try to provide vaccines to Africa as a way, again, of control, of getting making the play for Africa. We need to step up and help these African countries now, because they're desperately under-vaccinated. They really need the hospital beds, the hospital help. They really need to get their economy back going again. And here's a way that we can do this. And if we don't, the Chinese will step in.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. You know, for people watching, maybe they're thinking, hey, what can I do? Is there a way for them to get involved, maybe help out in this front here?
You know, I think donating to groups and causes, Catholic Relief Services and their help on vaccines, and particularly on hospitals. At this point in time, they need the vaccines, but now they really need oxygen, and they really need these oxygen portals and things like that that can sustain people through the low parts of when they get the coronavirus.
Yeah, and coronavirus is not the only thing they're dealing with over there. Malaria has been a big issue for a long time, but we are hearing some good news on that front. The World Health Organization announced the approval of the first ever malaria vaccine. Can you talk to us about how that's significant for the people of Africa?
That's the holy grail on malaria, is getting a vaccine, a pill that can stop it. Malaria is devastating and has been for decades in Africa. We put in bed nets. We need to be able to do spraying in some localized area. But this is a real breakthrough. And for a number of years, people have tried to get some sort of treatment that actually would work or a vaccine against it. And to have this, now this one has kind of a low effectiveness rate. We would look at it and say, is that really worthwhile? But you're helping a number of people. And if we can now get some of those vaccines up to a 70% effective rate against malaria, now we're really talking about a game changer in a place that malaria has devastated, particularly young people. Malaria really hits the young.
Yeah, absolutely. We're running out of time, only about a minute left, but I really want to talk about this. I know that you've been very busy today. You were out in Leesburg, Virginia. You were at the Pray, Vote, Stand Summit. For those who aren't familiar with what happened this past week there, can you talk to us about that, why you were there, and also the subject of religious freedom here in the United States?
I've worked a lot on international religious freedom, and what I've really seen is we've got to start protecting it here a lot more. It is under attack here, and this is the lead country in the world to protect religious freedom. And if we don't stand up for it here, it'll get worse around the world. We need to stand here. So what I was talking with them today is we need to have something like a national committee on religious freedom, like the National Right to Life Committee, that will stand and fight nationally, but in the states and locally at school boards and state legislatures for people's fundamental right of religious freedom. This is a First Amendment right. It's also a beautiful thing to be able to peacefully practice your faith, whatever that faith might be. And that's what I was talking about. We're going to have to start fighting a lot more here for this fundamental right.
Yeah, make our voices heard. Well, Ambassador, so great to see you. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Tracy. Good to join you.
Coming up, Afghanistan attack. Dozens of worshipers die in a blast during prayer time. And the Vatican begins preparations for the Synod of Bishops. See our report from Rome. Our revelations of sexual abuse in France's Catholic Church are raising a conflict between the sacrament of confession and the demands of law enforcement. A leading French bishop says the seal of confession is above the law. The government wants such confessions reported for prosecution. At least 20 people are dead following an attack on a Shiite mosque in northern Afghanistan. Dozens of others were injured in the suspected suicide bombing. It is the third such attack just this week, and a prominent cleric demands more Taliban protection from ISIS militants. A lawmaker in France says China's recent actions towards Taiwan are, quote, a serious threat. A group of French senators met with Taiwan's president yesterday. One of them is calling Beijing's recent fighter jet flights near Taiwan a serious threat to regional stability. Japan is also critical of China's actions towards Taiwan. In Hong Kong, a large scaffold collapsed next to a high-rise in a residential section of the city. 7 construction workers were rescued. One later died at the hospital. The structure fell during high winds and rains fed by 2 tropical storm fronts. The Synod of Bishops does not begin until 2023 in Rome, but the preparations are beginning this weekend. The Holy Father will begin the 3-year synodal journey tomorrow. It includes a time for reflection and prayer and then a Holy Mass on Sunday. The synodal process begins at the local level and ends in the main assembly in 2 years' time. Joining us now from Rome is Susan Pascoe, member of the Commission for Methodology at the Synod of Bishops. Susan, welcome. Thank you so much. Can you tell us a little more about the start of this synodal process and this weekend's events?
Well, this weekend is the formal opening, and it's going to be quite a large event, really. Tomorrow, Saturday, there's to be an event in Paul VI Hall beside the Vatican, which the Pope will open. and all of the delegates will be there. There'll be 2 hours of input from pretty much each continent. I know from Australia it's a video of a number of families talking about what synodality means to them, but different input from different countries. Then we're going to go into a 2-hour session where in many ways we model what we mean by synodality. So each of the delegates will go into groups of roughly 15 in different language groups, and we'll take the questions that have been put in the preparatory document and the vademecum that's come from the Synod of Bishops to the delegates. But we'll begin by asking them to first of all introduce themselves and tell us a little bit of their hopes and expectations, and then focus them down on the questions.
And Susan, can you talk a little bit more about why the Synod of Bishops is really so important? And also, have they announced a theme for the 2023 event?
Well, yes, because in fact it is a synod on synodality, and when the first time people hear that, they think they've misheard. But actually it is. So Pope Francis has had synods on youth, on the family and on the Amazon, and I think they've been, pretty well covered by the media globally. But to have a synod on synodality seems a bit strange, because in many ways synodality is about a process. It's about the Church getting into a mode where all of the voices of all of the people of God can be raised and can contribute. Now that again might sound a little lacking in specificity, but what it really means is that when there are matters, let's look at it at the parish level, where there are matters to be determined, that you have the maximum amount of input from any parishioner who wants to make a contribution to the life of that parish. So, for example, we know that parishes have to have parish finance councils, but we hope that most parishes also have parish pastoral councils, and that's an opportunity for people to contribute. But beyond that, there's plenty of other opportunities in moments in the life of that parish where people can contribute. It could be something as simple as planning the Christmas liturgies, or the first reconciliation and the first communion events. Plenty of opportunities for members of the parish to contribute. So that's the example.
Well, Susan, thank you so much for your time today and speaking with us on this. We appreciate it. Susan Pascoe, member of the Commission for Methodology at the Synod of Bishops. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Up next, we hear about an initiative aimed at helping the faithful to pray the Rosary. The White House has announced its pick for U.S. Ambassador to the Holy See. Former Senator Joe Donnelly was announced today as the choice. The Democrat from Indiana is Catholic and graduated from the University of Notre Dame. He served in the Senate until 2019. And finally tonight, the month of October is dedicated to the Holy Rosary. Yesterday, we celebrated the Feast of Our Lady of the Rosary, and Catholics throughout the country are asking for our Blessed Mother's intercession. The 5th Annual National Rosary Rally will be held at the U.S. Capitol this weekend. Thousands of faithful will join in prayer for our nation. Special prayer intentions this year include respect for life, for marriage and the family, and religious freedom. And joining us now to tell us more about this is Father Richard Heilman of the Diocese of Madison, Wisconsin, who will be speaking at the rally. Father, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Can you tell us a little bit more about the rally, what people can expect this weekend, and also why you felt this event was so important?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. This is great. Listen, everybody is kind of like dumbstruck right now about what's going on in the world, and we actually started doing this, gathering everybody together in 2016. And what was going on then, the Supreme Court just redefined marriage, and ISIS was going crazy. It was a contentious election, and it's grown since then. And we're just asking Catholics to, if they would, at 3 p.m. Central Time, is to gather with 2 or more. It said in the Bible, where 2 are gathered in my name, but 2 or more people gathered and pray the glorious mysteries together will be led this year by Bishop Joseph Coffey, who's the auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of the Military. And we're also going to be, prior to that, Bishop Coffey will be processing our Lord through the streets of Washington, D.C., to our site on the nation's capital.
It sounds like it's going to be a beautiful event. And I also understand that you said that this is a prayer rally. It's not a political rally.
Absolutely.
So I want you to talk a little bit more about that and how you hope to help the faithful stay, spiritually strong right now. And also, I want to talk about Our Lady. How do you hope she'll intercede for our country?
Right. So, 2 Corinthians 7:14 talks about if my people repent and seek my face and call out to me, I will hear them and I will heal their land. That's really the kind of the primary scripture passage we're leaning on right now, that if we do call out to our Lord, and we do know that what a gift we have with our Blessed Mother, who intercedes for us, who holds our hand and brings us to the throne of God and pleads our case for us. And we just believe so amazingly in her powerful, powerful intercession. And so this is going to be an amazing day. And we ask everybody, go to rosarycoasttocoast.com. That's where you can kind of sign up where you're going to meet with your group. You'll see a bunch of those balloon pins on our little Google map there. It's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people are gathering from around the nation. And the kind of the center place is going to be this National Rosary Rally on the grounds of our nation's capital.
Yeah, and so I know that, leading up to this rally, there was a 54-day novena for our nation.
Right.
It seems like this is really becoming a movement. Can you talk about that?
Well, we hope so. You just mentioned that yesterday was the Feast of Our Lady of the Rosary, originally Our Lady of Victory. This is the 450th anniversary of the Battle of Lepanto. And so how did they... Christianity was weak and divided back in 1571. And so the enemy thought this is their time to take them out. That's seeming like a lot like our times right now. We're weak and divided. And what did they do? They gathered the remnant forces and they picked up the rosary. And that's how we found victory. And so these are remnant armies. These are people that believe in the power of God, believe in the powerful intercessory prayers of Our Lady, and believe that with God, all things are possible. They believe, and so this is that's what I believe the remnant force is during these times. People who actually believe that God is the God of miracles.
Yeah, and for those who maybe unfortunately can't go, how else can they participate? And also, I'm wondering, is there anything else that you'd like to let our viewers know about the event?
Well, just everybody can participate. That's the way it's designed. So these prayer groups that you just form anywhere around the United States, wherever you are, 2 or more. And then if you would, it's inspirational for other people. Go ahead and sign up where that's located at rosarycoasttocoast.com. So everybody's participating. Bishop Coffey, who's the auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of the Military, will be leading the glorious mysteries as we pray precisely at 3 p.m. Central as a nation as we call out to God.
Yeah, well, Father, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us more about this. We'll be praying. God bless you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on.
And we thank you for watching tonight. For the entire EWTN News Nightly team, I'm Tracy Sable. Good night and God bless.